See how well this can be seen. All right. From time to time, we need to know what is happening down south, and Israel sends some reports along with some photographs and things of this nature. So I'm going to do my best to try to keep you informed about what is happening down there. If you are not aware of their location, this little blue dot is us, and Peru is in South America here on the west coast of South America. And we'll be zooming in here in about this portion of northwest Peru, right here close to the coast. Well, at home it goes a lot faster than that. There we go. All right, here's the city of Pura, where Chela is from and where her family lives. This city here of Catacaus is where Israel lives and does most of the work that he is doing. Now he drives or catches a bus and goes way down here down south to Chiclayo, where he has established a church and works down there. I believe he says it's a 3-hour bus ride. We'll look at his report here in a minute. He says how long he's on the bus. I think it's 3 hours for him to ride this one highway down there in order to make it from Catacaus here down all the way down to Chiclayo. So that's his two major works. There used to be a congregation in Pura, but the brethren in Pura meet now with them in Catacaus. Instead of trying to hold 3 services, they just have the 2 at this point in time. Now, this is a photo of them meeting in a park, and they had a fellowship meal after their worship service. I can't tell if that is Israel or Peru. Do you? Okay, this is Israel's son. I didn't think it looked like Israel there, but you can see the brethren there. This is some of the children as they have a Bible class there at that park. Again, here they're all gathered around, sitting. Here's Israel. If you don't recognize Israel, this is Israel here. He's holding a Bible class with some individuals. This is a typical home. Notice the vegetation as a wall. Okay, this is not uncommon in many of these poor individuals' homes in Catacaus. They upgrade as much as they can, but some of them just, that's their homes. That's the way it is. And in a lot of these homes, also the floors are dirt. We went into, last time I was there, or particularly when I was there on the mission, many of the homes had dirt floors, and they are very clean. They go through several times a day. There's no dust. They go through several times a day, and they sprinkle a little water on the floor to make certain that the dust stays down and things of this nature. And they're very, very nice and very hospitable. They want to show you their hospitality. I got fed many times with popcorn and things of this nature, just so that they show a little hospitality to you. And they were more than kind. Again, here's that same Bible Bible class, Bible study with individuals. Here you see studying with another young lady. I believe these studies are in Catacaus, where his home is. This is the congregation in Catacaus. This is Israel here. And this is my sister-in-law, is it not? Yeah, that's when she visited. This is Chayla's brother's wife. She was down for a visit. She normally lives in Lima. I'm sorry, you probably didn't know that. That's why I was a little surprised to see her there. But normally she lives in Lima, which is quite a way south. It's a 12-hour bus ride, but it's an hour-and-a-half airplane ride. This building, this structure here, is a building that they are trying to put up as a congregation. They are building with their own hands as a congregational building for them to meet in. And they are slowly but surely putting it up. And like I said, they're building it with their own hands so that they have some place to meet. And again, this is in Catacaus. Okay. Again, this is a congregation in Catacaus. And this is Tonio. This is Chayla's brother. Again, he lives in Lima, but he has to do quite a bit of traveling, so he comes down and comes up and visits as often as he can, his brothers and his sisters. Israel, and you might recognize this lady here. She's Chayla's mother. That's Mama Betty. I don't know if you recognize this lady at all, but anyway, that's when she went down to visit. And this is Mateo. This is my nephew. His name is Mateo Keith. By the way, Keith is not a Spanish name, so I have a namesake. I actually have two namesakes in Peru, and they have a rough time with the TH in Keith. It comes out as Kees. Yeah, they really have a rough time with Keith, but nonetheless, and he's having to be called Keith evidently in school now because there's two Mateos. Mateo, if you did not already know that, that's Matthew in English. Mateo is Matthew. So anyway, so he's getting to be called by his middle name a lot because of the two kids. But this is a Bible class on a Sunday because in somebody's home. Again, notice the thatch type walls because the places they have are not large enough or separated for the children, and the parents are in different places for Bible classes. But you'll notice all the children are together because they don't have separate classes at this time. Yeah. Now this is the congregation in Chiclayo. It's small, but nonetheless, they have a congregation there, and they're doing the best they can. Again, notice the type of a roof. This is a very typical type of roof there as well, even though that they have concrete walls, which is more sturdy here. This type of corrugated roof is pretty typical. Again, this is in Chiclayo, and some of the members there. And that's all the photographs that I have at this point in time to show you today. Now we've got other photographs to show you at another time for about last year, remember we sent some money when they had some flooding and things of that nature. We sent $3,000 to help them, and he sent a detailed report of that money, and I'll show that to you at another time whenever it's convenient for me to show that to you. And what all they did with that, there was a lot of people that was helped that was in dire need of some help, and what he did. He's very detailed about what he did with all that money. And here's the letter from Israel. Jayla did her best to translate it, and I'll mention to you again about in Spanish, the first last name is the paternal or the father's last name. The last name is the maternal or the mother's last name. So in most Latin countries, and by the way, they do this a lot in Europe, they don't have to be Latin, they keep both last names. It's a little bit of an oddity here in the United States where they lose some of their parentage names, but in a lot of Europe and all of Latin America, they keep that heritage. They know, you can know when you say somebody's name what their heritage is. when you talk about Israel, what his name is Israel Yarlikeh. But when you properly write his name, you would say Israel Yarlikeh Taboada. Okay? But that is his full legal name. All right, so he tells, he greets us. He says he's the preacher in Catacaus. He's been a Christian for 27 years. I believe Chayla's Aunt Keika, was instrumental in him becoming a Christian, as was Keika, as was Chayla. And that's the whole reason I went down there. I went down with Chayla's Aunt Keika, and that's how I met Chayla. You know, I got somebody to blame for all of this. So anyway, he has 4 children, he has 8 grandchildren, and he helps support 3 of his grandchildren. You know, things are tough down there. Here's his schedule. You want to try to keep a schedule like this? Here's his schedule, and think of the health problems that he has. He has arthritis, and he has glaucoma. Remember, he cannot do his jewelry work anymore because his doctor has told him his glaucoma is so bad that he's going to go blind if he keeps doing it. Okay? So on Mondays at 8 p.m., he works with men to help them get ready for the ministry, to replace him. All right, Tuesday there's a men's meeting, the men of the congregation. Wednesday at 8 p.m. they have Bible class with different brothers, and they bring guests. They bring people that are not Christians. Okay. Thursdays 8 p.m. he meets with the brothers again, just Bible classes and help them with their spiritual growth. Fridays again Bible classes, but these are at the building. Saturday at 6 p.m. he has Bible classes with the younger Christians, the young families, things of this nature. And then Sunday, he says 10 p.m., but I think that's 10 a.m., isn't it? It may be 10 p.m. They have to change around. I thought it was 10 a.m., yeah. But they constantly have to adjust their services just like we would adjust our services, because so many people have to work, and sometimes they have to work on Sundays. They don't have much of a choice. Sometimes they have to work 7 days a week. It's not, their situation there is not like ours. If an employer wants you to work 7 days a week, you work 7 days a week. There is no such thing as OSHA. There is no such thing as any type of workers' protection down there. The employer pretty much has control of everything, and if you don't like it, you either quit and they get somebody else because the people are lined up at the door, kind of a thing. So if it's a situation where many individuals can't come at a certain time. They may have to adjust their services wherever they can so they can get the maximum amount of individuals at worship service at that particular time. So nonetheless, that's the way that goes. All right, he was talking about those individuals in Chiclayo, and he's saying that someone needs to be there permanently, but he can't, obviously. He says he has chronic arthrosis. I think that's arthritis, but it was difficult to translate that, and we're not exactly sure, but I think that means arthritis. And he can only, at this point in time, he used to go every Sunday, but now he's down to just once a month. Okay, he goes there, he travels there on Saturday, he sleeps there, he stays there till Sunday afternoon because he has a worship service, and he studies with them as much as he can, and then he comes back. Yeah, I was right. It's a 3-hour bus trip for him. So with his health conditions, that's a pretty good sacrifice for the man. Okay. Here's what he's been spending the money on. He has detailed that out. Mainly transportation, driving. He doesn't own a vehicle. Most people there don't own vehicles. So you take taxis, you take buses, things of this nature to go everywhere. It wouldn't be economically feasible for him to own a vehicle. It's just too cheap to take the buses and the taxis. It's just a few soles. For $1 you can go $1 US, you can go a long ways, which would be 3 soles. Okay, monthly transportation, food, and lodging between Pura and Catacaos and Chiclayo. That's $171 a month, and then over the 3-month period of time, he spends $939 just supporting his family. Just the physical needs of his family, and then there are some of the brothers there in the congregation who have special medical needs that they have to help with, and that's $48 there as well. I've told you before, he is an individual that would give you the shirt off his back, and I mean that in the literal sense. He really would. If you needed it, he would give it to you. He is a very generous individual. He's very Christ-like in the things that he does. He's very humble. This past year, he's had emergency expenses. His mother passed away, as we well know, and he's had expenses in getting her buried and things. And he had a very bad February because of all of that. And anyway, those expenses were over $1,000. Buying the plot, buying the coffin, things of this nature. Besides the money that the congregation sent, Shayla and I have had to send money to him as well. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gotten by. He did send receipts for some of those items. Those are available if anyone wants to see those receipts. I will put them in the church records just so that they're there, so you know that. He sent them with this letter, so I will put them in with our records if anybody ever wants to see those. Anyway, as always, he says if anyone wants more details of anything else, he's happy to give it. He's trying to comply with anything that anyone wants to know. As he always ends his letters, blessings in Christ, and he always is thankful and appreciative of any help, great or small, that is given to him. He's very appreciative. So that is his letter. Just like Kevin was saying on Wednesday night, we are to go into all the world, and That doesn't mean that we have to go into a foreign country. That doesn't mean that we have to support somebody in a foreign country. But it does mean that we have to have a love for the lost and to take every opportunity that we can to teach those and to reach out to those. I have been blessed to be able to go into a foreign country, a third world country, where there are those who truly are groping for the gospel. And if my health holds out enough, I hope to spend quite a bit of time there in my retirement years and teach as best I can to as many as I can that will listen. They're not as obstinate as individuals here in the States that are pretty well set in their mind. They think they are, they know what they want to know about religion, and they're not going to change because their parents did this and their grandparents did that. So there's many of individuals that want to know the truth in other places, the Philippines, in India, in South America, in other places where people are humble and want to know the truth. That doesn't mean that we give up here. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's a blessing to meet individuals that really, truly are groping and seeking truth and want to know the truth, and will just simply sit there as long as you will sit there and constantly ask questions and want to know answers. And that doesn't mean that they accept it immediately. It takes them a little time for it to assimilate, but nonetheless they accept and will believe the gospel. We need to have that type of heart. All of us need to have that type of heart, that tender heart that loves God and wants to do things for God and wants to hear His word. May we all have that type of heart. If you are here tonight and you don't have a tender heart like that, you need to repent. You need to turn back to God and give Him your whole heart in true obedience to Him. If we can be of assistance to you in any way this afternoon, please let your needs be made known as we stand and sing the song which has been selected.